Hey, what's up everybody? How you guys doing? I finally got my Season 5 Duel tier list up and ready. A lot of you guys have been rushing me to get this done as quickly as possible, and I'd like to say again that I'd like to take my time with these because especially when a new season comes out, there is a lot of maintenance time really, where Hi-Rez is looking at things from a balance perspective and trying to figure out what they need to change, and large amounts of changes do come in because of that within the first few patches. So here we are with the Season 5 Duel tier list as of patch 5.3. And that is primarily why you're going to see this big nerf for Freya. She would have been an SS for me, but she got a massive nerf to her lifesteal. It's like a fraction of what it used to be, and now I think it starts at 5%, her base lifesteal, and then it goes up to 25% at max rank, or at max level. I forget how it even works now, because it's her passive, but I guess she gets it while she levels. Anyway. It goes up to 25% from 5%, whereas it was a 25% flat before. They also nerfed her Irradiate, her 1, so she does less damage. It could be a slightly less significant nerf, and she might still be higher in S+, but I doubt she'll be SS still. She would be a pretty ridiculous god indeed if she is able to stay in SS after that buff, or after that nerf. But, that is Freya, so I'm not counting anything out. So yeah, here we are in Season 5. Things are, I'd like to say, they're similar still. I don't think that anything has shaken to the point where you look at Duel this season from last season's perspective and, be completely lost. The only reason you would be is because the starter items have been removed, and, that's a universal change for Smite right now, and replaced by the new blessings. Now, Attacker's Blessing is going to be available as of this patch, so that might shake things up a bit. That active, or that starter item, is something that will be built on a large amount of physical burst gods, I think. So we'll see if it makes a sizable dent, and of course I'll be changing the tier list as we go along with any sort of changes I see to the meta, or just, things that are brought up to my attention. So let me know any sort of changes that you want to see made, or anything that you strongly disagree with, or even if you do agree, maybe, by any chance. So, yeah, Hebo, still the top dog in my opinion. Mages, this is a mage season. They've all gotten considerably buffed because all their itemization has gotten better. Their damage numbers are just a lot higher than they used to be. They pretty much buffed almost every mage item in terms of its power output. They changed this so Rod is no longer a staple. Now you get a good amount of flexibility in your build, and you can really try to optimize for other sorts of builds without really losing out on not going Rod. So it opens up a new path for the mages, and the fact that their other items are already giving them power makes up for the fact that Rod isn't there anymore as that crutch. It is still a viable item, but it's overshadowed by a lot of the others. Now, keep in mind that Typhons is going to be nerfed this patch as well, so that's another thing to keep in mind. Something that might make gods like Anubis have even a little bit of a lower standing than we see now. Typhons, the lifesteal on it was reduced overall, so we'll have to see about that. Regardless, I think he'll be in a good standing. Bancroft's is really great, and he'll still be probably built with the Typhons. You see a large rise from him here in the tier list. He's one of the focal points. Who else? Uller, I ended up putting in SS. I feel like he's really, as good as it gets for the hunters right now. He beats pretty much, I'd say he beats everyone below him here, as well as has some good matchups against the gods in SS. He can go even with most of them. If not better, maybe some losing. You see Thoth with like a huge rise here. This is both because he's gotten a lot stronger because of the mage itemization, and because Thoth was underlooked, or overlooked rather, by me throughout my most recent patch, or not patches, goddammit. I keep saying patches instead of tier list. And throughout my most recent tier list, Thoth, a god that has a lot of like latent potential, and we hadn't really seen too many people utilizing it too well, thanks to people like Zeros, mostly a lot of the guys in EU, utilizing this guy very well. I do think that he's very strong. I don't think he's quite as strong as those guys think he is, but I do think that that I had misplaced him before, and now due to the itemization, he is a solid pick, a very strong mage option, and definitely one of the best. So yeah, so you see him where he is now. Other gods, some of the hunters have fallen off a little bit. Without Death's Toll, it's a, I don't want to say a rough time for hunters. It's never really rough for them, but it is, it's not as easy as it was before for some of them. For gods like Uller, AMC, Anhur, Ho Yi, Scotty, it's going to be just about as easy as ever. They're ridiculously strong no matter what item changes come their way. But yeah, across the board you can see other ones like I'd say Izanami still having a pretty good time because she and she has a little bit of rise above some of the other ADCs. In my opinion, her ability to wave clear and her boxing potential is just insane. Hunter's Blessing is also just such a strong item when utilized correctly, and if you utilize it well with the Izanami autos, it's going to help a lot. So I think that she has a strong place right here. You see Nemesis as well as like a headliner. She's come up quite a bit. I don't really know. I think the biggest thing for her that's allowing her to be here right now is Warrior's Blessing, an insanely strong item, which is also going to be buffed for this patch. And she's just able to stick it out in the early game now with that item. It allows you to get regen every time you hit a god. So like while you're clearing and you hit a god, you get regen on your mana and health, and that's a tremendous opportunity for her. She's also, you know, just the same old Nemesis. She's got some of the best boxing potential in the game with her ultimate applied. It is the best boxing potential, and she's just, yeah, she's insane. As long as she's not fighting against someone who can easily take off her shield, and not many of the gods below her here can do that too reliably, except for some like niche matchups where she might have some, you know, unique trouble. But yeah, for most part, she is an extremely solid god, and I think she definitely deserves the spot. That Warrior's Blessing really is just about all she needed. It's like starting her with a golden bow. It's like it really buffs her early game potential that much. So yeah, definitely look out for that item. A lot of gods can be built with it and change their whole perspective, because if you're an early game god, or rather if you're a late game god that couldn't make it through the early, that item could be a massive crutch to lean on. Now, what else? Looking at S-, we see huge buff for, or not buff, but a huge rise for Agni, who did get a large buff going to Season 5, and he's being like a little bit upped throughout the last few seasons. I think they've really been trying to get Agni back into a decent place, and he's certainly looking a lot stronger right now. He's just gotten you know, overall maintenance across the board, and he's just a stronger god than he used to be, especially with these changes and the Bancroft start and everything. He ends up having a really good time overall. Still has a weakness though, in that Shield of Thorns counters the hell out of him, and he's just got a little bit of trouble going head to head with the gods above him. But I think that this spot accurately reflects where he should be a little bit more. Again, since there are so many gods right now, doing a tier list video that's not like 3 hours. I'd say if you go over every god, it's going to be like well over 6 hours. So, you know, I just want to highlight big changes so that you guys can see those. And really, you know, see how the change of the meta has been affecting the spots of a lot of these gods. So introduction of certain items and taking away others is really what's changing the overall scope of everything here, which is really cool, because like I said, it's you know, as I look through it, even though I said it wasn't that much of a shakeup, it is a pretty decent shakeup. You know, I think this is probably the most changes I've made to a tier list within one cycle. So it's pretty sweet. Now I think gods like Isis, pure burst based mages, Thoth as well, you can see they all went up with this patch because of the new itemization. Mage's Blessing is fantastic, but Bancroft's is just as strong as ever. It actually even got buffed in that it has even more mana, or actually it didn't have mana on it before. It gives you like 150 mana now, which is fantastic for their early game. Gives more flexibility with being able to poke while being able to do such, you know, disastrous numbers to to enemies early on. And going into the scaling with things like Typhons and just all the power buffs that all the items have gotten, gods like Isis are the perfect example of ones that are going to see, you know, a large rise in potential overall. And same can be said for, I'd say, gods like Cerberus. Cerberus, you know, he's a completely heal based and god. He's all about just lifesteal and healing and negating other people's heals too, which is a very strong skill set to have up against enemies in duel, because so many gods rely on the lifesteal, whether they're going Bancrofts or they're going auto attack lifesteal as hunters and such, or just healing themselves. So Cerberus has a really unique passive, and he's got a overall ability that will just require you to go beads, which is really strong in his ultimate. Most gods don't require you to go beads in duel, and him having that with his new buffs this patch, which is a stronger 2. He's got a lot more damage on that 2 now. He's got his ult now gives him enough, it automatically gives him ticks for his stun, and it no longer has that crazy post-fire delay that it used to have, so he can immediately act afterward and hit you with the stun instead of just kind of standing there awkwardly. They also increased the range of his 3, so this god saw a huge buff. If not for those buffs, I would have put him down in A- probably. Maybe A. Probably A. I'll say A. But with those buffs, I think he's definitely going to be new and improved, and he's going to, you know, be a lot more enjoyable to play. Still, being at the bottom of A+ is not a luxury spot. You're still going to have trouble playing him. Like most know, Susano is another example of a god that is like you know, a shell of his former self. It's very hard to play him at the same level as people used to, because he's just completely different from what he used to be like. So yeah, good example there of just, you know, what you're going to be walking into. Now, a god that I finally had enough of and has not been improving at all is Mercury. I think Merc just man, he has such a rough time. There's nothing that ever really helps him, because his 1 doesn't proc like almost anything. It just acts as a normal basic, so unless you're going crit, the 1 is never really going to do anything for you. Smoothie, thanks for the 420. My boy Opwash is higher than B. Come on, nah, I don't know. That's one thing. That's true. Maybe Opwash. You guys let me know if you agree that Opwash is higher than B, but I don't know. With mages being buffed, sure, maybe, but he's still got so many problems. He's just a big problem god that is not easily fixed. Zeus, actually, I think gets a lot better, because like Isis, he's just got so much more power to him. He packs such a big punch, and yeah, he's gonna be hurting you. He's gonna be fucking you up. I fucked some people up with Zeus, and I think he's legitimately better. We'll see, though, if you guys agree with me. Overall, I'd say I'm really happy with how this list turned out. Sorry about being, like, mostly short of breath throughout it. That's the anxiety, as always. And forsake for the 25 bits.
Doing some duel tonight?
Yes, I am. And I'll see you guys, as I'm going to be doing more duel going into the season. And hopefully, you know, it'll be an even stronger season for us. I think that the spread here is pretty cool. I think the way that everything turned out is nice. Scylla got a nice bump. And I think I gave a little bit of a bump to Ymir as well. Given that the mages are a lot stronger right now than their previous standing. So even though I think Ymir has a lot of trouble, you gotta, you know, give credit to the guys that have been doing so much work with him. So definitely a god that has a little better standing than I had previously put him in. But we'll see. We'll see about Ymir. See about all these guys as the season unfolds. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube if you enjoyed, and peace.